This is the Detroit Sports Podcast Network.
The biggest icon in podcasting.
Welcome in, everybody, to this week's episode of DocNJock on the Detroit Sports Podcast Network. I am the Doc, John McAroon. Joining me, as always, my guy, Adam, the Jock Strozinski. So much to get into. It finally happened. The Lions committed to their star defensive end. We got to check in. Is it too much? Great value? Does it mean that the Lions still can't afford to sign a Brian Brandt, Sam Laporta, Jack Campbell? Gonna break it all down. Aiden Hutchinson got paid, and that's what happens. Uncle Brad Holmes takes care of his guys. We all could use an Uncle Brad Holmes in our lives where he supports you, gives you what you need, and then he pays you. It's amazing. We're going to also talk about the deadline. Does Brad Holmes make the same mistake as Scott Harris? Does he think forward? Does he just add depth pieces? What needs to happen? We got to find out. Is there a name that Adam's crushing on? I'm curious to see what Adam thinks about how the Lions can improve because they're 5-2. There's a lot of good vibes with the Lions. I'm curious what Adam thinks of the newest big fan in town from Korea. Is he milking this? Is he having too much fun getting all this free swag from the teams? And my goodness, does all this guy do is take pictures and eat? I figured that maybe he needs to kind of man up a little bit and kind of hang out with Doc and Jock and we'll show him a different side of Detroit that maybe he's not used to. I would think, too, if you really want to be funny, walk this dude into a dispensary and be like, we need some of your good kush. This is a first-timer here from Korea. We got to show him what's up. He's got to keep it at PG, and it's a happy dude. But it's kind of funny in that, listen, it's fun. The city of Detroit has embraced the guy. I'm curious what Adam thinks. Is he following along with all the tweets? I know he's not big on social media, so we'll see what Adam thinks about it. And then we'll check in with the Spartans post-mortem. It was devastating. It hurt. I felt the pain. And for once, I kind of maybe regretted my decision to go to Michigan State as I was sitting there. I'll tell you guys what my mindset was as I was, even though I knew they were going to lose. Michigan State at least covered. And look, it is what it is. Everybody knew what it was, but it still hurt because I care. And I'll share what it was like being in there, knowing that Michigan State treated me like a C-lister, which was fine. I mean, I'm really at the bottom end of it. A low ego really kind of guy, and I'll share what happened when I got there. And then we'll talk about, to finish the podcast, just quick thoughts on the Pistons. It's early for them, and the Red Wings kind of had a little dip, but man, did a comeback maybe spark their season? Did the Korean guy bring the Red Wings good luck when they were down 4-0? It was crazy to see a comeback of that nature, because let's talk about it. It's happened. 4 years, $180 million, 141 guaranteed. It looked like Aiden's camp sacrificed a little bit of annual average value, but took a boatload of guaranteed money. $141 million is the most it's the most guaranteed money ever given out to an NFL player that wasn't a quarterback. So that's part of it where it's the most of something. It's good. He gets $140 million guaranteed no matter what happens in his life. And I think it's a very friendly deal given the fact that the number for defensive ends is around 50. So he could have easily hit 200 and 4 years. So basically the facts, cuz the Lions have locked up Aiden Hutchinson until his year 30 in 2030. So it's all good in my mind. I'm curious a little bit of the response on YouTube and on X at Detroit Podcast. There's a smattering, and maybe there's some Spartan fans in the mix. I would not discount it, but there's a smattering of holy overpay for Aiden Hutchinson. I get it because there's no ring yet on the Lions' mantle, but that's the going rate for a defensive end that can get you double-digit sacks, and he's still not in his prime. So I looked at it like, wow, I didn't see $200 million. I didn't see $50 million a year. I'm okay with it.
Yeah, I thought they actually got a deal on
Yeah.
this. You know, when we were talking about it, early in the season, before the season started, I think we both anticipated him signing for about $50 million a year. So 45, I think you got a little bit of a discount. I think you're in a good spot. I think that sets you up and gives you a little bit of wiggle room. I'm on Spot Rack right now, and I'm looking at their cap space, just shy of 25 mil left. So like you've got money to play with. The thing that you have to try to future cast here is what you're going to do near the trade deadline or at the trade deadline this year. It's coming up next Tuesday. We're going to talk a little bit about that here in a little bit. But I think signing this deal now lets them know what they can do and what they can expect to do going into the trade deadline. Also, on the horizon, you've got a guy like Brian Branch that's coming up that you're going to want to re-sign. Some people want to re-sign Sam Laporta. There are Malcolm Rodriguez is coming up. Guys are going to want to sign him. So there's a couple guys that you're looking to possibly take care of. Like I said, first on my list is Brian Branch. I would do whatever it takes to sign Brian Branch and keep him here. So you're going to have to get creative with the cap space. We know that Jared Goff's going to have to restructure his contract in the coming years. We know that there's going to be an increase in money coming from the revenue share. So you're going to have more money coming down the lane. How are you going to allocate those funds? And I think signing a guy like Aiden Hutchinson until he's 30, I think this works out really, really well for this team. I don't think you overpaid for him. I think you got him at a sweet number. I think by the time this is all said and done, he'll be on that other side. He'll be entering that other side of 30. At that point, you're going to have to make a decision on what you do. He's going to have to make a decision on what he wants to do. I think the way this contract's set up, it sets up perfectly for this team, and I think it sets up well for Aiden Hutchinson. I think this is the best of both worlds for both these guys, or both these entities, I guess. So look, you've got money now, right? You kind of know the first domino has fallen. We need to get Aiden Hutchinson's contract signed. That way it sets us up so we know how much cap space we have. You're going to go into the trade deadline. You can make a couple of moves now, and you can bring a couple of pieces here. And then we can sit there and start to kind of project what this team's going to do going forward. He was the guy on your defense you had to lock up. You had to lock him up for a substantial term. He was the guy who you had to invest a lot of money in. They've done that. It now allows this team flexibility to go out and figure out what they want to do and what they need to do next. So I think they're in a really, really good spot. I don't think they overpaid. I think they actually got a very adequate deal here. I think Aiden Hutchinson got taken care of adequately as well. This is one of those things where I think both sides get what they want and both sides made out. So I give it a thumbs up. I think the signing is good. I'm happy that we got it done. I know a lot of people talked about getting it done before Thanksgiving. We're a few weeks ahead of that. So I think we're in a really, really good spot right now.
Absolutely. And you start off with, okay, you need somebody that also makes people better. And the proof's in the pudding. Nobody thought Al-Quadin Muhammad would be anywhere near 5 sacks. You help out Ali McNeil. You help out Tyleik Williams, who's young. You probably are going to move on from DJ Reader, or you keep him for one more year. But you look at it and you say, this is a starting point. He disrupts the opposing offensive lines. He needs attention. So that attention helps the puzzle. And so, look, that's what you got to do. He's a bookend. He's somebody that's a homegrown guy. There's a loyalty there. He understands everything. And he's always been a winner. So, and then just for the very nature that he worked his ass off to come back from that injury, it's a sick injury. It's not something that you just throw yourself out there and you end up getting sacks. No, he's back. He's a member of this team, and it would be hard-pressed to see this team without Aiden Hutchinson. So for those of you that are concerned,
like you said, his ability to come back the way he's come back, there was a lot of talk from a lot of different people that he might not be the same player. I think he's better than he was before.
Exactly.
So, you reward the guys who do the work and who take care of their body and put in the effort. This is a guy who does all those things.
Exactly. And so now you got to support him. I think that Al-Quadin Muhammad's great. You are getting Davenport back. He's basically the depth piece. He's not the big splash, but he'll be a depth piece, somebody that you can throw out there, but you can't count on him. So it's just been flipped. Al-Quadin Muhammad's the starter, and you just mix and match whenever you can, need a pass rush down. If you get some opportunities on third down and long, or you get an opportunity at favorable distance when you kind of know that the team's going to pass, you just go with it. So that's another body, and you get Josh Paschal back maybe at some point this year. Wingo's always available. He's been a healthy scratch, but I would think that, and again, this is kind of a play on words, but I do think it's real. The Lions need Doc to help themselves win a Super Bowl. Defensive line, offensive line, cornerback. And I think it's in that order. You can never have enough pass rush help. You can never have enough depth along your offensive line. And you can never have enough bodies to go out there and try to defend top-end wide receivers. So those three positions to me are the biggest areas of need. And I look at it like, what's the level of need? Mild to moderate. You have a good team. but I'm always of the opinion you do whatever it takes to solidify. I want to be a favorite. And right now, as we sit in this week going into the week against the Vikings, the Lions are not the favorite. It's the Eagles and the Rams. And those two teams have added already. They've made moves. Now, Brandon Graham, they're tinkering, and the Rams added a defensive back from the Titans. So they're not sitting around. And it's never going to be easy to advance, especially with the schedule coming up for the Lions. A little bit tricky. The next couple games are games that are going to be challenging. You hit your stretch. This is the tough stretch where you hit the Commanders and the Eagles and the Vikings. You would expect to beat the Vikings, but I wonder, and it's crazy to think about because I don't know if this thought ever crosses your mind, but this shit crosses my mind all the time. And I go, you know what? They're 5-2. Maybe there's a scenario in which, for the greater good, you have kind of a setback against the Vikings where the defense kind of struggles against Addison and Jefferson. Not a lot of pressure. Just one of those games where it lets everybody after the game go, add, puts a little bit of pressure, a little bit of extra heat on the Lions. Like, yeah, you're good, but you're 5-3. You know the Rams are really good. Everyone will talk about the Eagles and the fact that they got Devonta Smith, who they kind of figure out how to get the ball to no matter what. All the fantasy owners know that guy's a PPR legend. And you realize, you know what? A little setback here might force Brad to say we're not good. If it's a blowout win and you have a Meek shut down Justin again and you have everybody just do their job and Aiden gets 2-3 sacks, then Brad's going to go, do I really need to make a move? Do I just go out there and get a Donovan Peoples-Jones 2.0? And I don't want that. I feel like, the question is really for Dan and Brad right now is this the year you guys feel it? Do you feel it? And I feel like they would say, yeah, but we're close. We're young. Terrion's a year or two away. We got to figure out this offensive line. It's young. We need a center. So it's like right there. We're like right on the doorstep because of the Super Bowl and being a favorite I think we can get there, but I don't believe they can win it. I don't believe that they can go toe-to-toe with the Bills in a game where it's for all the marbles. Right now, the offense has had too many dry possessions, a lot of issues, spreading the love around. Two guys are getting the love, but not everybody yet. So to me, I would say if it means Brad adds from a tier 2 to a tier 1 A- kind of guy, I would be like, man, maybe it's a Rick Woolen, maybe it's the Granderson from the Saints, maybe it's a Thibodeau. Who knows? But if you can add higher end talent, I think that I would be okay with the little setback against the Vikings because I just kind of feel like Brad sits back and goes, I like what we have. It's really good. It's the Scott Harris plan where you're like, I love what we've done. We have the guys here. I love Nick Whiteside. I love Eric Hallett. And I'm like, yeah, I love them, but I also love some others as well that could add some competition and some help. What do you think? What's the mindset you think this Lions team? Give your prediction because I'm a little bit more cautious. I'm there, and I kind of have to believe how Brad thinks. And the way Brad thinks is like, we're good, baby.
Yeah, look, I think that's how Brad Holmes thinks. I agree with you, right? Like he is one of those guys who feels what he's built is good and it's good enough to get the job done. And if he's going to do anything, it's probably going to be an underwhelming little move. It just like that's what it's going to be. That being said, I agree with you 100% where I feel like they need to address their defensive line. I feel like they need to address their cornerback room, and I feel like they need to address their offensive line. And the way I would do it would probably be in that order. And here's the thing. We've already addressed the cap space after signing Aiden Hutchinson. We know that they now have money. Everybody has talked about Trey Hendrickson forever and a day. You could go get him if you really wanted to. Like, this is a guy who is going to be on a prorated salary. I believe the way it would end up working because of the restructure, you just have to pick up what's remaining on his base salary. His base salary was $16 million. You've played about a half a season, so I don't know, 50% of 16 is a little over 8 is what it would end up coming in at. So you have the money there. You can go get this guy. You'd have to figure out what you would want to do with him after because he's looking to cash in, but you can go get him and you've seen what he can do. He's a guy who can get to the quarterback. The other guy who's getting talked about a little bit, actually, there's two guys from Miami, and Miami is probably going to be a big time seller looking to move a couple of guys out. Jalen Phillips is a guy who you can get. He's got a little bit more term left on his deal. He's a young player, 25. So, or I'm sorry, 26. He's looking at about $13 million, a little over $13 million for his base salary. Again, approximately 50% of that. You're looking at somewhere around the area of $6 to $7 million. Again, you've got money. You can go get guys. You can add guys to this team. So you can go and do a couple of things. Bradley Chubb has 2 years left. This is another dude who's going to be available, or is speculated to be available. He's probably a better fit for this team than Jalen Phillips. More of a outside linebacker, rush edge kind of guy. But again, both these guys you can pair with Aiden Hutchinson, and you're going to help increase their value, and you're going to increase Aiden Hutchinson's value. Chubb, he's 9, going to be 30. You're looking at what he's got tied up on his contracts. He's signed for the next 2 years after this. It's just under $19.5 million, and then just under $18.5 million. So you've got some money, but if you're looking to re-sign a guy like Brian Branch, you're probably not going to want to take on that contract. So I don't know if he's necessarily in play because of what's left. You brought up Reek Woodland. This is a guy who I think would fit the scheme perfectly for the Detroit. Again, not going to cost you a lot. He is last year of his contract, so I believe you'd end up getting compensatory picks too. So like this is a thing, you go and you get these guys who are on the last year of the rookie deals. If you don't want to sign them, I think you get rewarded by getting some compensatory picks, which helps you in the draft. And we know that Brad Holmes can do a good job drafting. So I think Brad Holmes has to be smart when he's doing these things and look at possibly trading for guys to get help now, realizing that you might not be able to keep them, or you might not even want to keep them. And then you could still get rewarded later on down the line with a compensatory pick. Reek Woolen is a guy who plays really good man defense. The Detroit Lions like to play a lot of man coverage in their secondary. I feel like he could come in and make an immediate impact. And I don't necessarily think that you're bringing him in expecting him to be a starter. This is going to be a guy who's going to help be a nice rotational piece for your secondary as guys get healthy, as guys work their way back into the starting lineup. This way you don't have to rush anybody. You've already seen what you can do with a cast of no-name characters, right? With a cast of guys who basically look like they live in the surrounding area, whether it be St. Clair Shores or Farmington Hills or Livonia, who are strapping a helmet on and going out there to play football. You've seen that you can win games against teams that are considered the top of the league. Just imagine what you could do with a guy who fits a little bit more and has a little bit more athleticism. So I think they need to go out and they need to be incredibly active, and they have to be able to add guys. I feel the area that they're going to run into a little bit of trouble, and it was your second area of concern, and it's along the offensive line. Offensive tackles, and that's really where we're at. I've talked about Taylor Decker being on the downside of his career, and I feel like he's washed. I said it last year. You're seeing it now play out. He's not been good. He's been a bit of a liability. Offensive tackles don't fall off trees. You can't just go make a trade with a team for an offensive tackle because usually if they're any good, they're not giving them up. There is a guy who you could probably take a flyer on, and I want to get your thoughts. Evan Neal for the Giants. This was a guy who was highly rated, drafted. I believe he was drafted in the top 5. It just hasn't worked. For whatever reason, it hasn't worked with New York. He's been a little bit of a liability when he's been out there. I don't know if kind of being benched, a little bit of maturation, a team taking a flyer and a chance on him, maybe it breathes new life into him. Maybe he realizes that he needs to work a little bit harder. Maybe he realizes that he's got a little bit more in the tank and is willing to give that. What do you think about the Lions possibly making a trade with the Giants for offensive tackle Evan Neal, who could come in and possibly spell a guy like Decker while he rehabs, while he works his way back into form? Again, I don't know how much longer Decker is going to be able to hold down that spot. If it was me, I would have looked at trying to replace him last year. I thought you kind of seen the writing on the wall. The Lions decided to run it back with him as their starter. I don't know if he makes it to the end of the year. So offensive tackle is a concern for me, but I don't know if you get any value when you go to make that trade because those guys, like I said, just aren't available. Evan Neal might be the only guy you could possibly get who might be worth a damn, and you might be able to give up just a late round pick for him. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, no, it makes sense in that he's kind of just hasn't been a player that is. Problem is he's slow. He doesn't have good footwork, and he's a big dude at 6'7". The size is great, but can he take his game to a level where he can compete? I don't know, because they got Manu, they got a guy that they've kind of have their Evan Neal type in Detroit, but he's not ready. They got Dan Skipper, and they got this guy Cochran, who they kind of have said on the radio and in a lot of the call-ups in the last couple of weeks, he's kind of been considered, and he's gotten a call-up at least once this year. So I don't know if they're going to go with a guy that hasn't proven himself as a project. It's an interesting proposition. It's going to be interesting to see what level of offensive lineman. Would it be a guard to kind of, have a sure-handed backup just in case if you feel like you need more than Coyote Awosika? So we'll see. But yeah, it's a name that it's funny as hell. You wrote that because you said that because Christian wrote about a defensive end from the Raiders, but the other name he threw out there when we talked about it was Evan Neal. But he's been on IR. He's had issues. Listen, I like the idea of looking at the Giants. You know about them. You've practiced against them. But how much does a losing culture impact a guy like that? You know what I mean? He's kind of been beaten down. It would be refreshing to come here. It would be maybe a career renaissance. Hank Fraley, you would think, would be able to get something out of him, but he hasn't had the production. It's like, I always feel like when you go trade, you want somebody like, at least with Donovan Peoples-Jones, if we sat across from Brad Holmes, we'd be like, listen, man, Donovan Peoples-Jones, he'd be like, man, we saw something. We saw the handful of receptions he had the year before. We saw something. And maybe the Donovan Peoples-Jones conversation with the former wide receivers coach got his ass booted, or you wonder if Antoine Randall got a little message from Brad like, you like this guy? Like, come on, dude. Okay, fine. Go with Ben. Go. Just, I can't believe you advocated for this guy. And so I want someone with a little bit more of a, hey, like not win the presser, but some production behind it. You know what I mean? So that's why I think people look to the Dolphins and look to a guy in Phillips with potential that has some capability, but has been hurt with injury. So we'll see. These big offensive linemen, they're hard to come by, but we'll see if that's going to be. I do think it will be a lineman, but I don't know. Evan Neal is a good name. If you could get the idea that he could develop here, it just feels like, a guy like Penei Sewell and Davenport would just eat him up in practice and it'd be like, oh, this guy's terrible.
Well, what do you think about this then? What do you think about this? I want to run this by you.
We'll see how it plays out. I love your idea of Trey Hendrickson. I do think there will be a surprise. I don't know if it's from the defensive end spot. It might be a corner. It might be the Bengals if they get whooped this week. So it might be a team that, I do think it'll pick up on Monday. I don't think, you got some small moves that have started to be made, but no blockbusters yet. I do think there's going to be at least one. So we'll see if the Lions are involved in the mix. We shall see if, the investment's there, but it's going to be close.
Let me run this by you real quick. What do you think about this? If things continue to kind of go the way they're going with Decker, you drafted Penei Sewell. He was a left tackle. You forced him to move to the right side. We've always thought that Penei Sewell would end up moving to the left side to take Decker's spot. Absolutely. What if we hit the accelerate button, and that's this year? What if midseason he's got to make a switch, he's got to go, and he's got to learn, relearn the left side and play left side for the tackle position, and they possibly utilize one of their other guys, whether it be Manu or whomever else, maybe even Dan Skipper can fill in on the right. But you put somebody else at that right side and you have them handle their business over there. Yeah. What are your thoughts on that being a possibility? Because that left side's got to get shored up. Like it just doesn't look right now. And I feel like Dan Skipper, as much as we all love Dan Skipper and remember the Alamo moment will be in Dallas, and then them running it back the year after what took place in Dallas a couple of years ago was a great thing. But like Dan Skipper is limited, and Manu's not ready. He's limited. A couple of the other guys that you have in that offensive line room are limited. Penei Sewell is a freaking stud. I know it's middle of the season. I know it's a big ask, but could he flip to the left side and we put somebody else in that right side?
It could happen, yeah. If the pressures continue, the last couple of games, the offensive line hasn't met up to the potential, and Panay knows it. Everybody knows it. A lot of pressures on Jared Goff. His numbers aren't as good, so it's going to determine. Look, hopefully the bye week did a little bit for Taylor Decker. They really love Decker, and they really do believe a 75% Decker is better than Dan Skipper, so that's why they keep putting him out there. The bye week has to help a little bit. The fact of the matter is Decker's not practicing, so I would think that as long as he's able-bodied and could do something, he'll be the biggest option at left tackle. But something to monitor for the second half of the year is the offensive line. And
Bro, it is crazy. That offensive line was the strength of this team, and it got old really, really fast. Ragnow goes. Now you're seeing it with Decker, and I've been telling you for over a year now that Decker's washed. You see what's happened with the guard position. It's been kind of a flip over in that position. You've had to move Graham Glasgow over to your center to kind of fill that. It's that offensive line. They're doing a good job trying to patchwork it, but man, it feels like it got old really fast.
It did. Yeah, it's one of those deals, man. I do think this is probably going to be Taylor Decker's last year, so hopefully you send him out with the victory. And yeah, your center and left tackle, it's a big deal. And hopefully Miles Frazier in his work to practice, he might be a center option moving forward. So we'll see. We shall see as the season progresses. The number one thing that everybody wants to see is the offensive line play better and the offense spread around the ball a little bit more to J-Mo, to David Montgomery. Not like crazy, but not 2 targets. I mean, come on. 2 targets for Jameson Williams. That's an eye-opener. And look, the man said something. I love how the media tried to poke a little bit and say, hey, Scotty Montgomery, what's up with, J-Mo? And he's like, well, we ain't seen him doing that on the sideline. But he's not going to do that on the sideline publicly. He did it, in the way that the modern athlete does it, with the sad Jordan face on Instagram. That's his pouting. So we need, this week, his mission is no pouty J-Mo on social media. And I think that's going to happen. I think J-Mo is going to get some love. Get him the ball. It's not a bad thing. And also, too, it's real simple. I know there's a lot of reporters that do the expert work and the detail of all the blocking schemes and all the mistakes that are made. Listen, I get it, but we can keep it simple here for the podcast. Just hand him the ball. Like, you don't have to do massive work here to throw it deep. His average depth of target is 17 yards. Bring it back in a little bit. He can get a 3-yard, dig route, a little bit of a, hey, stand there and catch the ball and go. Hand the ball off to him, little pitch to him, a little bit of something where you just get the ball in his hands, go create. Like, there is a film, Deebo Samuel.
If you're Brian Flores, wouldn't you just double him up the entire game? Like, I feel like the Lions are going to try to force feed him the ball this week. Like, if you've got him and you play fantasy football, I would start him, because I feel like the Lions are going to make an incredibly concerned effort to get him the rock as much as possible. If you've got Amon-Ra, I mean, you would never bench him because he's a stud, right? But I'd probably play him in my flex position and expect no more than maybe 10 to 15 points out of him. I feel like J-Mo is going to be force-fed the rock the entire game. If I'm Brian Flores, I am putting double coverage and I'm shadowing that guy all day long, trying to force interceptions. Am I crazy?
No, it's absolutely. I think that Brian Flores might have a chance this time to see what Tate Ratledge and Christian Mahogany. That's been the mission. The mission has been now, hey, step it up. Dan Campbell kind of gave a little hint that, hey, you guys are not rookies anymore. Step it up. And Brian Flores is going to have a chance with the pressures this week. But here's the blessing. Jared Goff knows this, got the back. He's got it in the back of his hand that, hey, get the ball out quickly. Gibbs, listen, it's not a bad problem when you have Gibbs and he can get the ball quickly. You can do some zone runs. You can kind of draw the pressure in and get the ball out. So I expect a nice offensive performance this week. I have no doubt that they're going to play well. Bye week, you've practiced well, everybody's healthy, and everybody knows that, damn, we had a defense carry us. And so the offense is going to take that to heart, and they've stepped up. And look, in the end, it's always a quarterback league. J.J. McCarthy is not going to carry the Vikings. He'll have stretches. He'll have opportunities, but he's not going to lead that football team in Ford Field against that defense to a victory. It's just too soon, and Kelvin Shepard is licking his lips and chomping at the bit to confuse the hell out of a young quarterback. So I can't wait for this matchup. I think it's going to be a win. The Lions are going to be good coming out of the bye, and they'll be 6-2, and they'll be looking for the revenge game against the Commanders. So it's going to be a nice stretch for the Lions here in the second half of the year. If you guys want to go check it out at Lions on SI, I did an updated prediction. I got them finishing with 2 more losses the rest of the year. I got them losing to the Rams and the Eagles, and everybody else is going to be competitive. There might be that one loss. Maybe it's this week to the Vikings, Maybe it's the Bears at the end of the year. There's always that one loss that leaves you scratching your head a little bit. So 12-5 is more realistic. But on paper right now, check it out. I think 13-4 can be achieved. Yep. If everybody stays healthy and you get some guys back, you make a couple splash moves at the deadline, maybe there's some momentum. And I can't wait to follow along with Adam in regards to the future of the Lions. Because what'd you make of the little road blip for the Red Wings? It really is true, the DSP curse. We just give a little shine to the Red Wings, and they went on the road against Buffalo and the Islanders and lost 2 games. I was like, Jesus, this is all Adam's fault. He had to come out here and start blowing the Red Wings, and now they suck again. But they came back, were down 4-0, and won a game at LCA in front of a passionate fan base that was booing. But my goodness, nice little comeback. And I do think that there's something a little different about this team, that maybe they can handle some ups and downs a little bit better than in years past. But those 2 road games were pretty atrocious in my mind.
I like how I was blowing them. Thanks. Thanks. I appreciate that. Look, I think you've got 2 teams here in both the Red Wings and in the Pistons, where it's going to be a little up and down for them this season. I like they're going to get on these stretches and they're going to have these hot streaks, and then they're going to have games where we're just sitting here scratching our heads and we're like, what the hell did we just watch? What did we just witness? You know, the Wings end up getting absolutely steamrolled after we heap a bunch of praise on them, only to then rebound, come back, and start fighting in some games and being a hard out for other teams. I think the Pistons are going to be on a similar path, a similar trajectory. I think they're going to have these games where they're just going to get steamrolled and they're not going to show up. They're not going to play well. And then they'll come back and they'll give you 2 or 3 games where they're going to be an incredibly difficult out for teams. And I think it really does come down to having teams that are young and having teams that aren't quite right yet. And by not right, I mean the way they're constructed, they're still missing pieces. They still need to find a little bit to add to make them a whole team. I think the Pistons are in a much better position than the Detroit Red Wings. I think the NBA East is pretty wide open. I feel like the Cleveland Cavaliers are the team that you kind of got to get over. If you can get by them, I think the Detroit Pistons will be in a fine spot. I know we all want revenge with the Knicks, and I think we all look at the Knicks as kind of a bit of a measuring stick. But really and truly, I think the beast in the East is the Cleveland Cavaliers. So if the Pistons can continue to work, if Jaden Ivey can come back healthy, if a couple of trades are made at the deadline that can kind of help fix this team and right this team, I think they'll be in a much better spot. Now, the Red Wings, honestly, man, I just kind of feel like a lot of it's between the ears. I feel like you've got veterans on this team who know how to win. I feel like you've got young, talented guys who are trying to figure it out, but they're talented. They can score. They can pass. They can skate. I just sometimes think that this team just kind of goes into this weird coast mode where McClellan's got to get in their ass and he's got to chew them out and he's got to rip them a new one and he's got to set them straight. And it takes them getting absolutely embarrassed in order for it to happen. To me, it's incredibly perplexing, the psyche of that team. On top of it, I don't feel like the goaltending is strong. I feel like you've got 2 guys who would be great backups anywhere else in the league for a Stanley Cup contender. I feel like you've got 2 guys that can get hot and win you games, but I feel like you got 2 guys who can just absolutely set themselves on fire and burn the entire building down when they're cold and they're not winning games. They're not able to win games. They're not able to see the puck. So both of these teams are mirror images of each other for a little bit different reasons. And I feel like this season is going to be ups, a lot of ups with some really bad downs. And the hope is that you have less downs that get steadied and corrected sooner than later so they can both make the playoffs. Absolutely.
And you look at it, how concerned are you? What's your concern level? Before we just check in with the Pistons real fast, what's your concern level with Gibson? I just think that I'm not so certain. I feel like Talbot's the better goalie, but they don't play as well defensively in front of the new guy.
Yeah, I feel like on paper Gibson's the better goalie, but what you see between the pipes is whether it's the team playing better or whether it's just Talbot's been in the system a little bit longer. He knows who the strengths and who the weaknesses are, and he knows which part of the ice to shade a little bit more. I'm not sure what it is. The team obviously performs better when Talbot's between the pipes. I don't know what Gibson's going to be, and this was part of the concern going into the season. You know, if he's healthy, cool. If he's not, you're going to be in trouble. And the thing is, you're in trouble, and he's not injured right now, unless there's something we don't know about. And I'll be honest with you, I wouldn't be surprised if in a week or two it came out that he was dealing with something.
Yeah.
But it's weird, man. I don't know. This was the guy who was supposed to help steady out the back of that lineup. And he seems like he might be the weakest link right now. Talbot is arguably the best goaltender. You're winning games when he's between the pipes. I would start him 3 out of every 4 games right now, you know?
Yeah, agree, 100%. Now, the Pistons are at a 2-2 start. Look, the loss to the Cavs, I look at it like a scheduling loss. Back-to-back is tough. You would think they would play a little bit better, but that's what it is. Cade had a bad game. It happens. But there is a little bit of concern in that Duncan Robinson's been a little bit hot and cold. It ain't the same. It ain't the same without Malik Beasley. And I hate to say it because the dude's hanging around town. He's at Mercy. He's hanging out. He's kind of posting like, hey, guys, I'm kind of not guilty. Y'all cost me with all this nonsense a chance to be with my brothers. And he's done a good job. I kind of feel bad for him. But in the end, I'm not liking the replacements all that much. I'm like, Karis LeVert's been hurt. Duncan Robinson has been okay-ish, but not the same. And having Ivy not there is kind of, in a way, making you go, man, it's going to take time to gel for this basketball team, but, it has the feel of the going to work vibe where they got to actually perform. They don't have enough talent to just coast, and you're not going to get by with Isaiah Stewart and Duran. The good thing is though, Cade's the man, still the man. Asar Thompson has started to peek his head out to say, hey, me and Ron Holland, we're going to do some things together and get on this train and hop on my back. I like his development so far, but it's 2-2 start. It's okay, but you had to battle to beat the Celtics. I thought there was going to be an ass-kicking for Boston, waiting for them, for a team that doesn't have their best player.
I think with this team, we're going to have a lot of growing pains. I feel like some of the roster overhaul that was done, I feel like originally going into this, the plan was to bring Beasley back. I feel like they felt confident that some of the younger guys were going to take steps forward, right? Like Ron Holland was going to take that step forward. Sir Thompson was going to take that step forward. And you've kind of seen it a little bit in a couple of these games, but without having a guy like Malik Beasley, who I think initially when they were constructing this thing, they're putting their game plan together, they're like, if we get in trouble, this guy can shoot us out of it. If the kids are going to kind of slump, they're going to kind of wane a little bit, he can shoot us out of it. And then they're counting on Jaden to be there to help take some of that pressure off of Cade, and he goes down with an injury. Beasley's doing his gambling stuff, and now he's in trouble with the feds and with the league. So, like, he's not available. So now I feel like it lumps a lot more pressure on your young guys who you're looking to kind of develop at their own pace, and all of a sudden they start pressing a little bit. And I think that's kind of what you're going to get for the bulk of this year until the trade deadline. I feel like this team needs to figure itself out a little bit. They can make moves at the trade deadline, add a veteran, add a guy who can maybe help shoot your way out of a couple of things and maybe take some of that pressure off of the young guys. I think if Jaden Ivey can come back and he can be a compliment to Cade, and again, that's if the original conversation was he'd be back sometime in early November. Now it sounds like it's probably not going to be closer until December. So now you've got a guy missing 2 months of the season. That's a bit of a problem, especially when you're looking to alleviate a little bit of stress and not run your all-star player into the ground. So part of where some of that ebb and flow comes with what you're going to see with this team. I think they're going to run into a little bit of trouble because they don't have the depth that they originally thought that they were going to have. And I think that you are looking for the young guys to develop, and it's going to take a little bit of time. I don't think they're going to develop as fast as everybody wants because there might be some pressing. There's going to obviously be growing pains because they're young. And I think by the end of the year, this team will be in a better spot, but I think it's going to take getting to the trade deadline and being very, very competitive with the rest of the league for this team to go out and make a I don't want to say a major move, but make a prime time play to get another guy here to kind of help boost this roster.
Yeah, absolutely. Makes sense. It's something where you got to get used to each other playing. You got to get used to the chemistry. You got to make sure that Cade continues to shine. And those back-to-back games, look, they're tough, man. They're super tough on these teams. You would think that they would have done a little bit better, but the Cavs are one of those teams that people expect to be around and to do something. So it'll be interesting to see as this next stretch happens for the you got a stretch here tonight against the Magic, and then you continue your run here in the next couple of weeks. So we'll see. We'll check in with the Pistons regularly. It's an interesting team. I do think that there's going to be some good memories, but yeah, I do think that if the gelling doesn't happen, then it's going to be there's some games that they might lose that would be unexpected. But I do think that by the time the calendar flips to 26 and you start getting to crunch time, I think that there's some character, some nice guys here that you're going to see some development from. And I want to see the new guy from Tennessee do some things. He's been put out there, the second-round pick, so let's see if he can actually start knocking down some buckets. They've been putting him out there, so let's see what this Pistons team looks like. And you're absolutely right. The Pistons a little bit ahead of the Red Wings, but two teams that are kind of in the boat of, hey, we know how to evaluate talent. Can we get the most out of the guys with some development and then sprinkle in some support later on at the deadline? So because I went out there to Michigan State, and it was kind of begrudgingly. I usually am a little bit excited to go. Look, every time I step on campus, I do feel good. So walking, and actually I saw on X something that was nice. And Nick Saban, I don't know if it was real or not, but someone had a older photo of Nick Saban when he was at State with those cool glasses, and it said, Michigan State is what a campus should look like, with the trees, with the river, the community. It is what a college campus should be. And that's how I always feel. You walk on campus, you see the river, you just have all those good memories, and you had all those times that I had at Michigan State. So it always floods me with great emotions. And then you start walking to the stadium, and you're like, ugh, I don't feel it. Like, I had no hope. Like, there was no buzz. There was no traffic. Like, I literally walked right through usually it takes right when you start getting to certain areas, you start seeing some red on your GPS. There was no red. I was like, what? So I walk right in. I say, hey, sports media, and they let me in. And, you get into campus and you start walking. I'm like, man, there's tailgating, but it's more like, yeah, let's all get together and talk junk. Nobody believes the Spartans are going to win. And everybody's like kind of just waiting for Jonathan Smith to get fired so we can move on to the next thing. So you get there and you're like, all right, you get there early. Gates open at 4:30 for media. I get there about 4:32. Security's good, and they always let me in. And I get there, and I'm like, all right, John Macaroon. I'm waiting for my badge, and they're like, can you say that again? I'm like, oh, God. First and foremost, I always have the email ready that says I got credentialed, so I always have that ready. I'm like, Macaroon with an M. M as in Mary. And she's like, oh, yeah, I have it alphabetized. You're not on it. And then they look, at least they tried to save face. They're like, this is the second or third time this happened today. Where are all these badges? And the basketball head was there. I said, hey, Max. He said, hey, he's like, he's good. We know him. He's like, I know this guy. And I give my ID, and they had their hand write it. And they actually asked me, do you want to go on the field? I said, no, I'm good. Because I typically just go there, enjoy the game, get some perspective on any of the guys that I think could be in the NFL. Not a whole lot from this game. Bryce Underwood, you look at a Spartan tight end, you see, does Childs have any chance of getting better? Oh, my God. It's like, this is like a 4-minute evaluation. This guy's not a Big Ten quarterback. So you do a little bit of work and some early scouting, and you're like, okay. And the Lions didn't send anybody there, so that you're like, oh, of course. It was a good game, and it was at least a little bit competitive at some point until the call happened. And I think the call, look, he was moving. I don't think he was in the neutral zone, but I mean, I don't think you've typically seen guys start running before the play happens. So, look, I just wanted Jonathan Smith to defend the Spartan Stadium a little bit better. It was like the defensive coordinator got the message. Shit, my job's on the line. They moved him down, and he was passionate. He got his guys a little bit better, and you got Jonathan Smith. Like, I know you don't want to go outside of character, but that was the only moment you needed to. Like, the message is, well, we're going to send it in, and I've seen that not called the other way. Like, that doesn't send any message to your program that you're into it in the trenches with the whole fan base. Like, that you should have yelled, even if you're wrong. Like, you got boned in your own, like, you would expect a wrong call to go your way in your own home stadium. So I would have liked to have seen that play happen and go down because the defense forced a turnover. I think it killed the momentum, and then Michigan just handled their business. I mean, if you can't stop the run when you know it's coming, It's over. Done deal. Michigan didn't look that good. The fan base is actually more pissed than, and I'm proud of you guys. You guys are on it, like saying, like, this isn't championship football. We should have destroyed Little Brother. And yeah, Bryce Underwood throwing for 86 yards, and you're taking selfies. So it's a downtime for Michigan State. I enjoyed it because I got to check in with Emmett, who talked my ear off. And I've never seen somebody cover a low-level college football team as well as Emmett does, just tweeting, covering the team, telling me all the injuries, telling me everybody that he's talked to, telling me all. I'm like, Jesus Christ, bro. It's a Spartans, bro. There's like no juice to this. He's like, yeah, I know. I'm like, how many readers you got? I'm not going to tell him what he told me, but let's just say the man is grinding his ass off for a team that's not interesting. And it's unfortunate. But from the Michigan perspective, listen, Michigan State just waiting for Jonathan Smith to get fired. Whoever's going to pay it, let's get to the next. That's all we're waiting for. Everybody knows it. Jonathan Smith knows it. I think he knew it before. Like when
I think he showed up on the sideline. He was like, "Oh, my credentials still works. I can still coach this team."
Yeah, exactly.
He's like, Jesus Christ, bro. There was like no passion, nothing.
And look, when Haller got fired, I do think Jonathan Smith knew. He's like, dude, I have no support. Like they just took away the guy that hired me. So it is what it is. It's the Jonathan Smith era is going to go down as the Jonathan L. Smith era, just like that. One of the bad eras, the Bobby Williams era. We've seen it before. Let's get to next, and then we will see how this program rebounds. And there's some opportunities to get some guys that have been dismissed. So there's opportunities. But from the Michigan side, you handled it professionally. You didn't play really great football, but you did enough to beat Michigan. And now you have to beat Michigan State. Now you have a chance just to keep getting better. I just think that I'm not so certain the passing game can get any better because I don't think that outside of Marsh, I don't see anybody with any talent. Like, I don't see anybody with any spark, juice, incentive. It's like Bryce Underwood's like, can any of you dudes like get a step? Like, you know, the idea of getting open. There was nobody getting a step. You can't get a step on the Spartans secondary? I was like, Jesus, but they figured it out. All right, let's just go to Justice Haynes, and 2-2 will destroy Michigan State, and that's what happened. So good football from Michigan to pick apart the biggest weakness of the Spartans. They leave with the but those great photos of the Wolverines doing the pose, the Paul Bunyan was hurtful, man. It hurt. And actually, so my mindset was I was sitting there and I'm going, man, I'm feeling this. Like I knew they were going to lose. I knew they were going to suck, but I just sat there in the third quarter going, man, this hurts. This sucks. And it's just probably the rivalry being that I was, there at Michigan State. I felt the wins. I felt the joy that you had with trouble with the snap. I remember having being at a great church party, hanging on every play when there was, listen, it's 30 years later. Hell yeah, it was pass interference. We tripped the dude and we ruined Michigan's undefeated season. It was amazing. And then you had Clockgate and the nonsense there. So there's been some fun, elated moments. It's been a decade since trouble with the snap. There was a trouble with the snap play that brought everybody back. So you just know because I'm invested in the rivalry. I went there. I've seen the highs and lows. I got a degree from Michigan State. I felt the highs and the lows. And you really want to beat Michigan. It's the rival. For Michigan State, it's Michigan. It's nobody else. And you didn't play your best. That sucks. You got boned on a call. That sucks. And you got a quarterback that you paid millions to that got worse. So that's just, I was sitting there going, man, like what the hell? I was trying to cheer myself up. I'm like, all right, you know what you're going to do after this. You're going to go have some fun. And just the campus was amazing. The whole environment there. Just once I literally being in the stadium sucked, but the rest of it was amazing. East Lansing is a town that I could get used to being around quite a bit. So that is what it is. But from the Michigan perspective, what's next for the Wolverines as they try to move forward?
So first thing I want to start with is I think Bryce Underwood might be the most overrated player in Michigan football right now.
Wow.
Look, I've seen nothing from him. You went up against a team of essentially quadriplegics and you threw 86 yards. Like, what are we doing? I don't know if he knows how to read a defense. I don't know if he knows how to put touch on a football. I feel like at this moment in time, he's the multi-million-dollar man that is a bust. I do not feel confident that he's going to be able to grow. He's going to be able to develop. I feel like he might be a gigantic waste of money. I don't like Sharon Moore as the head coach. I think I've told you this. I don't know if I've told you this in private. I know we talked a little bit about it on this podcast. I have zero confidence in Sharon Moore. I have zero confidence in Sharon Moore being able to develop a quarterback. I don't like what I see from this team. And I was taking the approach of being patient. But that being said, I'm not seeing the week to week that I need to see. I'm not seeing that development from him as a coach. I'm not seeing the development of the players. I'm not seeing the development of Bryce Underwood. I feel like Sherrone Moore can recruit, and he can get guys, and they've got an NIL package that can get guys here, but I'm not seeing him take them to the next level. Haynes is a beast. Like, he's an absolute stud. Me and you were messaging a little bit during the game. He's an absolute stud. But the rest of what I see, it's not high football. You're not going to go win high level games. Like, the Ohio State game is probably going to be a bloodbath. You know, I don't see them winning that game, and I was really looking forward to that game, and now not so much. As far as Michigan State goes, you have a head coach who just seemed like he was completely checked out, and it was a whole week of talking about how he understands the rivalry, and then he shows up and the guy looks completely emotionless. He looks flatlined. I wanted to give him smelling salts to see if he would wake up and be able to just elicit some type of emotion. You've got your D coordinator, Rossi, on the side, and that guy was almost a little too animated. Like, he was a little too fired up. It's like, okay, bro, reel it back a little bit, and the camera loved him. Like, if I watched it from home, I know you were there, but Jesus Christ, if you had a chance, go back, rewatch, you could stomach it. It was nuts. He was on screen all the time. It was unreal. And I was like, dude, nobody needs to see this guy's face all that much. I had no idea what he looked like. And now I close my eyeballs and I see what he looks like all the time. So look, Michigan State, I was talking to Kelly Rowe, the
Fox 2
reporter. I was talking to her, and we were kind of messaging back and forth Monday morning, and I was like, hey, what are your thoughts on Michigan State? And her and I both have the same thoughts, man. Like, it needs to be gutted. It needs to be burned down, and you need to start over. Like, it's got to get cleaned up, and you need to find a coach who I think understands the lay of the land here locally, understands NIL, and understands this new era of football. I don't know what Jonathan Smith's issue is. I just don't get it. Like, I don't understand how he failed this bad. And I feel like Michigan State provided him support. Michigan State wanted this to work out. I don't know why this hasn't worked out. It doesn't make sense. You got a coach who brought a quarterback with him. That's like check and check plus. Like, let's go win football games. And it just has not worked. Michigan State, I feel like, has to go back to the drawing board and start over. And to be honest with you, I feel like, to kind of bring this back full circle, I feel like Michigan might be looking to do the same here very shortly. Obviously, Ward Manuel and Sherrone Moore, I feel like, are kind of locked at the hip at this point. And I don't see anything happening in the next 12 months, but I could see this becoming a bigger issue where it's going to have to get rectified quickly for Michigan.
Here we are. And I love the prism in which Michigan fans look at it. I would say that Bryce Underwood doesn't have really a lot of talent to throw to, but it's what you see with freshman quarterbacks. Like, in the NIL, it's going to skew because you're paying him to come out there and just be a world beater. But listen, experience matters. Rossi came in with a pedigree of being a guy that took Minnesota's defense to pretty good heights. So there are, credit needs to be given to a coach defensively that is somebody that knows the position, knows how to exploit young quarterbacks, and he got his guys to ball out at least a little bit. Yeah, it was a little bit too much, but hey, if you're going to go down, at least get yourself an interview where you can just say, hey,
let me ask you this about Michigan State. Would you feel better if the backup quarterback was a Milosevic or whatever, Alessio was the starting quarterback instead of Childs?
Yeah,
I feel like when he gets in the game, I see a little bit more out of him and the team than I do when Childs is in there.
Yeah, that's the biggest thing. Is Childs should have been benched. Like, bro, there was no possessions. It was empty after empty after empty. Guy has no juice, no spark, no confidence, and I just think there's a mismatch. I think that it's basically Aiden Childs is leading a room that doesn't like him, doesn't respect him. What's the respect? There's nothing there. There's not. I mean, he's regressed. He should have outplayed Bryce Underwood by a mile. You got that whole year experience. You have a full understanding. He's not a Big Ten quarterback. It's just the way it is. You brought a guy that you felt comfortable with, and then that's what sucks is that Jonathan Smith's supposed to help out his unit, and there's nothing there. There's no juice. There's no juice at all, and it's unfortunate. So I think that hopefully this new guy that comes in at least knows how to develop a quarterback or just brooms out Childs. I mean, I don't care about. There's so many Spartan fans that are so nervous. Oh my God, all these guys are going to enter the portal. Let them all go. I mean, you have 3 players, 3, and it's okay. You can start all over. We'll wait. It's just I think everybody's like not him. And then Magic Johnson comes out with the biggest, easy statement possible. It's hard to root for the Spartans who kind of feel like they're playing emotionless football. Well, thank you for that. Can you just say, listen, Spartans need to make a change, and I'm willing to make it happen with my $1 billion. Like, let's go. Hopefully, you hate to say this, but I hope Minnesota just rocks Michigan State, and so that we can just go into the bye week with some more vitriol and fire Jonathan Smith, and no more Smiths are allowed to coach the Michigan State Spartans. I don't care if you're related to Urban Meyer, Nick Saban. No more Smiths. That's just the way it is. They don't work, they don't care, and they're not great. So I want to move forward. It's disappointing, but changes are happening. It's going to happen. No doubt about it. Everybody knows it. Jonathan Smith knows it. The whole community knows it. It's just when. It's a matter of when, and this era will be forgotten quickly. There was nothing there. It never kicked off the ground. And once Haller got fired, it was like, yep, we're going to just chop your legs right under you. So you can feel a little bit bad for Jonathan Smith, but he'll get a fat check to go away, and good on you to steal money from East Lansing. Make sure you follow Adam on X at AdamRSTROZ. Follow us at Detroit Podcast. Last 30 seconds, cuz you following this Korean dude that's just stealing the merch for free. I mean, this dude is living the life. Listen, if you're willing to fly 14 hours to come to Detroit, I get it, but I don't think I need 5 days of it. Like, the dude's eating, and the dude's hanging out, and he's taking a bunch of merch. It's kind of cool, but I wish he kind of would go, like, okay, he drinks. He's kind of been like this ultimate fan rallying cry, which is, I think, what people like in Detroit, which is, hey, look at this outsider who has no business coming here. He likes it here. Well, it's not. Detroit has a lot of things to like. So I think we got to act a little better, because it feels like we're showing our ass a little bit, like, ooh, it feels like we're and listen, don't get offended, but it kind of feels like the 4.5 is getting a little bit of attention, and she's like, oh, sure, you want to take me to dinner? No problem. And, oh, you want to give me some burgers? Sure. Oh, you want to? It's like, guys, you're acting a little desperate here. He's just a fan that likes sports. What's with all the, this dude's getting a lot of pub. And I get it. It's a cool story, but I'm not really the ho-hum, like, like kind of guy. I mean, I'm 46, but it is a little bit much to do it day after day. I think right when he started doing the Tigers and like, come on, dude, you're eating every single day. Like, you get pizza, you get wings. All right, do something else. Go to a museum. Go to Dearborn. Like, the dude should go to Dearborn and smoke some hookah. Like, do something culturally. Hang out with the Doc and Jock and do something. What's your thoughts? 180 seconds here. Is this guy oversaturated already?
Bro, I have no idea who this guy even is. Like, so far off my radar. I love how you are like such a social media whore. I've got no idea who the hell you're talking about. You're gonna have to send me something, DM me, let me know what's going on, because I've got no idea.
His name is Tom Herr.
Who or what this is.
He's all over social media. He's posting nonstop. He's toured the whole sporting community. He's visited every bar. And Tom Goris gave him money and said, "Here, spend $2,500 at our store." So, and he got on CBS too. So it's not just me. He's all over the place. And yes, I am on social media, but he's all over it.
I'm typing in right now. I'm on X. I'm typing in Korean fan.
Correct.
I'm looking. I have no idea who this guy is.
Okay.
Let's go, people. No, because
Tom Herr. TOM space HUR.
Who is it? Tom Herr?
Tom Herr.
Tom Herr.
That's kind of funny. I will send it to you. He's basically tweeted nonstop his adventures over the last. He went to the Pistons opener on Sunday. From Sunday until this Wednesday, he's been going nonstop.
You have to send me something so I can find him, because I can't find him.
All right, we'll forget the review.
I'll take a look.
Because this is an ongoing story. You didn't see I invited him out to what you and I would do, and you didn't see it yet. So check your socials. I did formally invite him to a more interesting establishment. And
okay, I found him now.
I said, come on, bro. We know you like to eat. We know you like sports, but Detroit has a lot more to offer, and some legends in town want to hang out with you. So
what is
We'll check it out. We'll
what is
get
the deal
Adam's
with this?
review next
I'm
week.
following him right now. Or I'm looking at his stuff right now.
Yeah.
What the fuck? What is this?
Yeah, exactly. Bro, grown men don't act like that, but it's fun. It's a good story because he's foreign. He's got the naivete. He hasn't been hardened yet. He's kind of like, I'm in Detroit.
Or is this all just a gigantic gimmick? It's all a gimmick to get free shit.
Look at Adam. Adam within 30 seconds called him out and said, this is a gimmick.
I'm much more jaded and cynical than you.
Yeah.
This guy. What a mooch. Get out of here, loser. Go back to Korea.
That's how you and I think, but I did it differently. I did it on a podcast and I said, I'm going to Korea to get the same treatment. I'm going to get some kimchi and
going
some
to North Korea,
kimchi and some
South
sake
Korea?
and all the massages there. I want to see if I can treat it the same way. I'm going to Korea. Doc and Jock are going to invade Korea.
Good luck.
And see if we can get some sumo wrestling action and see, sumo. I love it. We'll see. We still got more time because this dude's getting invited everywhere. He might stay. I think he's going to the Magic game. He might stay for the Lions game. So you're going to get the whole week of Tom Herr. And when you check out social media this week, that's been the buzz around town is this Korean super fan who flew 14 hours. He did it before, but he's got this naivete that has enthralled the entire city of Detroit. Let's check in next week. We'll see how it plays out. Let's see how the Lions do at the deadline. I'm excited to break it all down. The next episode of Doc and Jock will air every Thursday, and next week I can't wait to break it all down with my guy Adam, the Jock Strozinski.
You fucking podcasters. I said don't let them in here.